All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's roll.
Hey, welcome into the Snap Fantasy Football Podcast, Week 17, and we're here to help you out with some starts and sits. But before we do that, we need to talk about who's in, who's out, because there is a laundry list of players that are out today. I'm going to run through the wide receivers, then the running backs, and then the quarterbacks and tight ends. So we have Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Keenan Allen, Kenny Golladay, Cole Beasley, DJ Chark, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, KJ Hamler, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and Deshaun Jackson. At the running back position, we have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dalvin Cook, Damian Harris, Frank Gore, James Robinson, Darrell Henderson, Carlos Hyde, Alvin Kamara, who's got the COVID, Latavius Murray, who is a close contact, Christian McCaffrey, Mike Davis, and Miles Sanders. At the quarterback and tight end position, we have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ben Roethlisberger, Jared Goff, Hunter Henry, Eric Ebron, Dallas Goedert, and Tyler Kroft for your tight ends. It is a crazy, crazy list, Scotty. I got no Landy with me today, but I have the producer in the studio. What's going on, my man?
Oh, week 17, as we repeatedly say, if you're in this championship, congratulations to you and absolutely shame on your commissioner. So it's a fun week for us because we're going to take questions you just cannot imagine. Like I need to sit down Patty Mahomes. Should I be starting, I don't know, the starter in Pittsburgh? Like these are unbelievable questions, but they want to win. They made it all this way. You want to win, and we're here to help you navigate these insanely choppy waters. Shame on your commissioner.
Choppy like your video, Scotty. Again, a lot of movement here today, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. I don't want to take too much time with the guys that are out, but who matters is the guys that are in. So we have made you our Week 17 rankings, which is not something we typically do, but just given the complexity of this week and guys being in and out and how that affects maybe our top 12 rankings, here they are. Scotty and I went through them pre-stream, and that's why it was a little bit longer today, getting set up, getting ready to go. So much news, but here you go. We have everybody lined up. So we'll get to some questions. We got Easy. Yeah, who is in? Yes, absolutely Easy. Easy with a quick $3 super chat. Appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much. I'll see if Easy had a question. We'll also see that Easy has a little blue wrench beside his name, which means he is a moderator of the stream. So congrats to Easy. You might have just figured that out for yourself, Eric, but we appreciate you. So welcome to the team. He says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well, Eric. He's playing some DFS this week. Too bad Landon isn't on the stream in Monkey Knife Fight. Touchdown dance. He has Gaskin, Dobbins, Mike Evans as getting over 3.5 touchdowns. Is that realistic? I think Gaskin and Evans could do that on their own. And J.K. Dobbins is a plus. One we didn't put on the graphic was Mark Ingram. He's also not looking to play. So, yeah, I like that. What are some other good DFS plays? Look through. I know Monkey Knife Fight is a little bit different, but look through and let me know if there's any other contests that you would go with. There's certainly some guys on this top 12 rankings that we could definitely talk about. Kyler Murray is the one we're going to get some questions about today, as is probably Alexander Mattison. What's the upside for these guys? Where do we think that they fall? You'll see that Kyler Murray is not on our top 12 list, and that kind of speaks to you about how we feel about him this week with a tough matchup against the Rams, with a banged up shoulder, and you'll see that DeAndre Hopkins has been slightly faded as well. So right off the hop, we're not overly interested in playing Kyler Murray this week, which kind of sucks, but that's week 17. It is what it is. Griffin, good morning to you, my man. Scotty's in here. He says, let's get those week 17 titles. Absolutely. Griffin had Mahomes. He's going Tannehill as his next QB. It's not that bad of a choice, not at all. Tannehill is a top 5 quarterback for us this week. David, Alexander Mattison or Boston Scott for running back this week. I would play Alexander Mattison over Boston Scott. That Detroit defense is just super, super porous. Browns Steelers game may be delayed. Yes, Steelers have the worst luck with the schedule this year. Yeah, absolutely they do. I don't see them winning this matchup. I think the Browns come through and just roll them. It's a big list of outs, absolutely. Paulie J2, Brady, Kyler, or Jalen Hurts. You can kind of see on our graphic here, Paulie, how we have them ranked. For us, it would be Brady as the top there, and then Jalen Hurts is about a middle tier option for us in the top 12, and Kyler Murray is being faded by the Snap crew this week. So we're going to say you should play Brady this week, my man.
You could do a whole lot worse in your Week 17 championship than rolling out the GOAT with something on the line.
So people are going to say, what about Josh Allen? Why isn't he on this list? We think that
because it's week 17.
We think Josh Allen probably only plays about a half at the most. And if it's a super productive half, like it was last week and the week before, then you're probably laughing. You'll also see Stephon Diggs is not in the top 12. We kind of think the same. It's like the Buffalo Bills are only playing for the number 2 or number 3 seed. The bye is out of reach because the Kansas City Chiefs are 2 games ahead. And so it doesn't really matter. I guess it matters for a potential matchup 2-3. It depends how the Steelers are going to play it versus the Bills. Steelers have already said they're sitting down Ben Roethlisberger. It's going to be Mason Rudolph this week. So I think the Bills win this game pretty easily. I wouldn't put too much stock into Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs. And if you're comfortable with playing them for a half and living with the production you get, at best case, I think, then you roll with them. But we're not saying that they're going to be top 12 scorers when it's all said and done. So I think there's better options as much as it sucks to not have those guys. That is the nature of Week 17 sometimes, which why we say shame on your commissioner. Claire's in the chat.
I can't remember. What is the point total if you take a swinging helmet to the cranium? Is that a +5 in most standard leagues?
Standard leagues, yeah, it's a +5. Full point, it's about 7.5.
All right, Garrett for MVP.
We got 16 people watching right now. Welcome into the stream. If you are new, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. Goes a long way for the channel. If you haven't been with us the whole season, we just got monetized, so it's awesome. We get to earn a little bit of revenue to make some upgrades, like some backdrop upgrades. It'd be really, really nice if we could take these blank walls and make them a little bit more visually, aesthetically pleasing. That would be great.
I like real brick.
Yeah, Scotty's on the brick. But yeah, we're just trying to do things bigger and better for next year.
Oh, look at that. Austin, thank you so much. We have our second sticker of the day with a $20 contribution from Austin. That is amazing. Look at Week 17. We're here for you and you guys are here for us. I'll take a moment to thank you. That will be so many bricks in a real wall. That's fantastic.
Every time somebody does that, it's like, I don't even know what to say. It's crazy.
It really just it means the world as far as appreciation. We are not here for the money. We're here every week to help the community grow and try to get championships for people. But it feels very nice and it is really appreciated. Even $1 just feels as if it's really some recognition for the thousands of hours that all 3 of the boys have put in these past 2 seasons. So thank you so much. Very nice.
Austin said his bad he didn't hop in last week. We missed you, Austin, but we're glad that you're here this week. If you have a question for us, you have our explicit attention. Whatever you need, whatever you want. Austin,
it's a bold strategy.
I do like it. Austin did inquire about setting up a Discord, and so he might be helping us spearhead that as we move into 2021. More of a little private community for us all. But I would love to have Austin a little bit more involved, and maybe a listener league spot there for us. 2021 Listener League is open for entries. All you have to do is go to our Apple podcast and submit a review and just put in the tagline Listener League 2021, and we will definitely be going through those and picking out some people as the off season progresses. You keep your eye out for for anything Austin has to say, but we appreciate you, Austin. We are here for you in Week 17, as ugly as it may be. Scrolling back up, I got Claire in the chat. Is there anything that you would change from the lineup currently starting Hopkins and Metcalf at wide receiver? Have Diggs, Woods, Deontay Johnson on the bench. Could put in a wide receiver or flex. Currently have Rojo at the flex with Henry and Wilson at running back. Okay, so Hopkins and Metcalf both look like solid options this week, even though we're fading Kyler slightly. I wouldn't play Diggs. Robert Woods would be a potential option there, but Jared Goff is out. It's going to be John Walford as quarterback. I did a little bit of research on him, and I watched a bit of tape. He's not a huge downgrade, it looks. He reminds me almost like a little Doug Flutie. He's a small, speedy little guy with a decent arm. Yes, he'll be making his first official start, and there comes pressure with that. But I think that Robert Woods could be a potential option here. I wouldn't play Deontay Johnson given the Mason Rudolph play. We've seen how poor he can be in the past, and this Steelers offense lately just hasn't been clicking. We saw them really come alive in the second half of last week's game against the Colts. But other than that, it's been pretty disappointing the last couple weeks. So I would consider putting in Robert Woods over Ronald Jones. But I think for your other running backs, Henry and Wilson Jr. serve to be really, really good options there, Claire. So if you want to fade Rojo a little bit and go with Robert Woods, I think that's a really good play. But it's totally up to you. But that's kind of where I am with your lineup.
I feel like Woods is actually one of the almost remaining members of that Rams offense that usually finds a way to at least hit his floor. That's the thing with Woods is he's the guy who they will try laterals. They'll sometimes run him right out of the backfield. I'd be staying a bit further away from a lot of the other Rams receivers right now. Don't even talk about a Tyler Higbee. But Roberts Woods is more that that utility knife where you never know if he's going to run one in from the 7 somehow and cover his week right there.
I think that we can expect to see a little bit more Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee duo on the field. Whether they use them as pass catching options, that might not be a thing, but maybe run blocking, pass blocking. But it could be a Josh Reynolds, Robert Woods type game with Cooper Kupp out. So there you go. Gerald Henderson's also out. I don't know what the status is on Cam Akers as of yet, but Sean McVay, I believe earlier in the week, said he has a chance to play. So we'll have to monitor that. Angie Lynch, Murray or Rivers. I don't trust Kyler Murray. I would play Phillip Rivers this week over Kyler Murray. I know that sounds gross, but week 17, it is what it is.
Week 17 is gross. Shame on your commissioner.
MMA, holy crap, fellas, what a week. For Pick'em, who do you think? Carolina over New Orleans? What about the Chiefs? Do you think they win? I would not pick the Chiefs to win. I didn't this week in my Pick'em pool, which I have a chance to win in Week 17. And given that Alvin Kamara is out, I think Carolina has a good chance to win. However, they are going to be missing McCaffrey and Mike Davis this week. So the run game for the Carolina Panthers is going to be non-existent. It might be a tough game script for them, but Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara out too. So this is really just going to be kind of a little bit of a bloodbath. I might lean I'd love to have some points on the line here to shade one way or the other, but let's go Carolina. I can't remember who I picked in mine. I probably picked the Saints, but I think this one could be an upset. Alvin Kamara's really carried the load for this team.
Yeah, I'd agree. Without him putting up Madden numbers, it's been very hit or miss for especially kind of a Saints offense. I think we all got really used to just a bit of a juggernaut approach. Without him on rookie mode, that game would have looked a lot different. I think, even with this defense showing or lack thereof. Yeah.
Oh, Scotty, the video today, not our friend. I'm just readjusting you here. Okay.
I'm hopping.
Yeah, sometimes with Skype, it just wants to bounce around. Okay, we've got Angie again saying Steelers or Saints defense. I would go with the Saints defense. I don't think the Steelers win this game. I think the Browns, the Browns need to get this win. They're back and healthy with Jarvis Landry and company being reactivated. So I don't think the Steelers have much chance with Mason Rudolph at the helm. So I would go with the Saints defense. And then Alex Hedge says Mark Andrews over Kittle, who has a higher chance to score more points. Will Kittle get more targets? Tough to say. Really tough to say. Arizona hasn't done a great job covering the tight end this year. I certainly think the upside play is probably with Kittle. It just depends if he's going to be on that snap count or not. We saw him last week go 4 for 92, and on the limited work that he had, he looked fantastic. Now, whether that gets him a bigger role this week, who knows? That's why we have Mark Andrews a little bit higher, because he's going to be on the field more, longer, more opportunities. That's usually king in fantasy football. Betting on the efficiency of George Kittle is not a bad move, but I would go Andrews. Any top defenses this week? If you want to know our top defenses, Landon did a really good video on them on our YouTube. So we've had that throughout the week. I would say definitely go and check that video out. He does a really good job breaking it down. And I can't remember who his top defense was, but he knocked it out of the park last week. And this week, hopefully he does as well.
I feel like Lando, although he is not with us, is most certainly on the stream and in the chat. Yeah. So, Lando, if you want to drop your defense knowledge, you are kind of the defense czar around here.
The whisperer. Help Alex out. Easy says, Matthew Stafford is listed in DFS matchups. How confident are you in Stafford this morning? I am not very confident at all.
No, I think the guy is tough as nails, and mad respect to that guy, but it's week 17. He is still their franchise quarterback. Like, any coach that just lets a quarterback play because he wants to play, with the amount of injuries that guy currently has, like, that's how you lose your job. If something breaks where he's not ready for training camp for a meaningless game, I'm not loving that situation.
Dude, it's better than Chase Daniel, though.
Oh, I mean, yeah. It's filthy. Some filthy options this week. I always worry about a banged up quarterback in week 17.
Stafford being in is really good for TJ Hawkinson. It's really good for DeAndre Swift.
Marvin Jones. Yep. Marvin Jones Jr. I have him in one lineup of DFS this week.
But there is the possibility that Stafford takes another hit, and being as crippled as he is right now, and being the warrior that he wants to be, playing through everything. I mean, this guy almost played through a fractured spine. Doctors and team just had to say, no, Matthew, no, we're not doing this.
Oh, yeah. None of this is, that's what I've learned this season is, I mean, I think I might have lightly cracked a rib while I slipped on a bunch of ice walking the dog. And now, like, it's been 5 days. I can barely sleep. I have a new appreciation for what a man so many years my senior did, Drew Brees, took by a man crushing him. And he's still out there playing football. Like, these guys are tough as nails, but the coaches have to step in at some point for the kind of the good of the franchise, I think.
Griffin said he's not lying. He always forgets to hit the like button unless we say something. Guys, 22 of you, go ahead and click that like button. Subscribe if you are new. If you like what you hear, put your questions in the chat and we will get to them in order. And if you're in a rush, if you need an answer, Super Chat is also available to you. Don't have to go crazy. $1 is fantastic. Will definitely get our attention. Easy says you should change your background to 0.8. 0.08.
0.08 easy. Landon beat me by, I believe it's technically less than a yard. Yes. So maybe 0.08 for next year out of spite and salt.
You could have caught the ball, run for 10 yards, and fumbled, and still won.
Yes, you could have done almost anything. And Marvin Jones Jr. almost did it he just had to fall forward and he fell backwards and I lost. So salt is at like ocean levels around here these days.
Filming Around Me says, let's go. I'm pumped for my championship game today. Time to get this money. Thanks, guys. Let us know how you did. Get us on social media at @snap_fantasy and let us know. Robert De Niro says, thanks for your help throughout the year, guys. I won my family league. Let's go, Rob.
Yeah, I love when the Snap crew is piling up those titles. That's what we do it for.
Nice hat, Mac. You know it is. It's a lucky toque at this point. Not so lucky for Landon or for Scott, but for me.
Were you wearing it on the draft day?
Well, I was behind the scenes, but if I was, this was off, and then the stream was off, and yeah.
No, J-Jets isn't that good. Don't worry about it.
I will. Austin said finals were last week, just here for the boys. We appreciate that. We appreciate you. Love Discord. Need any other assistance, then you can lend a hand as well. Griffin and Austin going to be the project managers of that. Michael, is Mclaren safe to start? Sure. Absolutely. Whether it's Alex Smith or it's Taylor Heineke, I think both serve to be decent facilitators of the ball. We just don't have him as a top 12 option this week. But if you want to check where we did have him, Scotty, I think it was decently high, wide receiver 2 area.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take a look in our rankings.
KSTS 00,
I believe
Metcalf, Brandon Cooks, Jeff Wilson, Carson, Elliot, pick 2. Oh, wow. I think it does matter what you need, KSTS. Do you need a ceiling play? Do you need to just, ride out a victory? If you're favored, if you're playing a 2-week matchup, a little bit more context would be helpful here. Just going off our rankings, we would take Metcalf. Definitely would be in there. Do you go double? I mean, I'm always torn. I'd like to go with a running back if I can. Zeke would be the bottom consideration for me. Man, that's a tough one.
To follow up, I will say we have Terry listed quite low this week just for risk. I mean, you were definitely talking outside of the top 12, top 20. So
I thought the last that
depending
we had
on
was
which
like a fringe wide receiver 2.
Yeah. So with the risk factored in, I'd say fringe WR2 is about as high as our projections go. So based on your other options, but he is, when healthy, that he is the focal point of that offense.
I'm just gonna go with Metcalf and Brandon Cooks. I'm gonna start those 2 wide receivers. Games that these teams need to win. Well, the Texans don't, but they're gonna be competitive. You saw J.J. Watt last week was fired up. And Brandon Cooks has been good the last couple weeks. He's been heavily involved, and Deshaun Watson's going his way. So I would go Cooks, Metcalf. If you want to pivot off the double wide receiver start, you go Metcalf and Wilson, I believe. If you want the upside play, Carson. If you want the floor play, that's how I would sort of do that. Mary is back. Hey guys, flex question for a full PPR. Should I only consider my bench wide receivers in this spot? I have good running backs too. I know, hard to believe I'm the top scorer on my fantasy team by asking this question. I always like to go with running backs if I can. It depends. It depends though. Again, context matters. If you need to catch up, if you think that you're going to have a running back in a matchup where they are down and you need to throw to get back in the game, I mean, that doesn't bode well for running backs. So typically I like to go running back in the flex if I can, especially a pass catching running back for a PPR league. However, it depends. So Mary, if you can kind of give us an idea of who you are considering, we might be able to help you navigate that a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. For the championship, for all in the chat, it is week 17 championship, so context is going to help a lot today. If you need that floor, that ceiling, if you're just trying to cover, hit us with as much context as you can so we can get you that belt.
I know leagues do it differently too. They do like a 2-week championship where 16 and 17 are combined together, so are you ahead? Are you behind? Are you projected to win or not? That really does help us out. John Walford hype video was hilarious on the Rams Twitter feed. Absolutely it was. I had a good laugh at that one. Easy. Ben Stiller, so many celebrities dropping by the stream, and just thank you. We appreciate you guys. We've got Robert De Niro. We've got Gary McCord, the golf announcer. We now have Ben Stiller as a part of the group. So Ben, welcome in. Love your movies. How do you guys feel about Jeff Wilson? Jeff Wilson is a fringe running back 1. We do really like him. I think he has a higher ceiling than most running backs this week. As you saw last week, he was fantastic, like 170 yards rushing. But there is some risk baked into that play as well. So that's why we have Carson a little bit higher, as you saw in that last question, just for potential volume and floor. Jeff Wilson could be rolled out in a tandem with Jerick McKinnon this week. We could see Tevin Coleman sort of being mixed in a Week 17 nothing game. We really don't know how this backfield looks. And Week 17, historically looking back, has told us that more players get involved than we'd like to see, especially in running back backfields. Whereas Chris Carson, yeah, they activated Rashad Penny. Doesn't matter. Carlos Hyde is out. It's going to be a 1-2 punch. We know that. We might see some DJ Dallas, maybe. But Chris Carson, I think, is a lot safer. So for the safety, I would play Carson. For the upside, Jeff Wilson definitely has, if we were doing this by ceiling, he's probably a top 10 option. Lando's got some questions. That's good. He's going through the chat. Griffin Taunton, can someone explain why Andrew Luck is on the rise in sleeper and rostered in 15% of leagues? No, cannot.
Relentless optimism is I did take a peek in some of my leagues just to see, but I mean, the answer to that is obviously there was a news article circulating saying that there was a rumor that he was contemplating coming back to football. And then once the journalist actually asked him, he said no. So, but like anytime people think, oh, I can grab him in a dynasty league and keep him for next season. The guy did not retire at his peak to come back years later. I mean, maybe, but not this
But
next
honestly,
year.
like, take your shot, you know? Would you rather hang on to Andrew Luck than Donovan Peoples-Jones? Like, sure, take your shot.
Yeah.
A guy you might cut.
This does happen. So that is why it's happened. And if you want to risk him and you have a bench spot in a dynasty league, crazier things have happened.
Absolutely.
He's young.
No, we don't think.
But no.
I could see Carson Wentz signing with the Colts in the offseason, moving on from Phillip Rivers. I could see something like that happening for sure. I don't think they go out and draft themselves a quarterback, but they could definitely make a move in free agency. But I don't think Phillip Rivers is there. I don't think Andrew Luck is there. Should I start
25
Madison?
of you watching right now, 19 likes. Just a moment to make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed and it's your first time, please hit the subscription button. It helps the channel a lot. And we have recently got super chats enabled. So, you know, if you're in a time crunch and you want your question answered quickly, we will get to every single question. But even $1 at the super chat means that it just gets brought right up to the top so we can deal with it. It's just the way it works. So if you'd like your question answered or you want to throw some love to the boys for a season of work, there's the sticker option as well. But we'll be getting to every single question today.
Shout out to Austin and Easy for the very generous donations this week. Drew Tillman, should I start Madison or Elliot? Whoa. Wow. I think we have Elliot ranked higher, and I would still probably play Zeke over Alexander Mattison. We saw Alexander Mattison get the true workload, the opportunity earlier this year, and he was very underwhelming. People thought that they had a weak winner picked up off the waivers or stashed as a handcuff, and he really didn't play out. Now, the matchup is good against the Lions, but I think Zeke has a pretty friendly matchup as well. So I would probably roll out Zeke and take it for what it is.
I also think it has to be factored in that Dallas is still playing for something, and it doesn't matter that, like, as in Alexander, like, Madison is playing for something. Like you said, he was very underwhelming when people. Yeah, so he's playing for himself, but any idea that, like, Zeke won't get a full workload? I mean, they still have a shot at the playoffs because the NFC East is utter garbage.
They still have a chance to host a playoff game, Scotty.
Because the NFC East is utter garbage, but here we are. So there's definitely a lot on the line. They pay him a lot of money. So you have to assume they're saying, dude, like, it hasn't been a good year, but we need you now. So
how that
could be a huge workload.
That whole division breaks out. Just in case you guys don't know, the Washington football team, if they win, they clinch the NFC East, and they most likely have a quarterfinals matchup against the Buccaneers. Now, if the Washington football team loses, if they lose, then the winner of the division is settled between the Giants and the Cowboys.
Yeah, you just couldn't make this stuff up at the beginning of the season, but here we are. Want to give a quick shout out to Patrick in the chat, giving the boys a $5 tip, which absolutely means we are going to jump right ahead to Patrick's question because we want to build some real brick walls. I can't have this digital one behind me forever. Patrick asks, should he start Lamb or Gallo? Wow. So we are having a Cowboys shootout right here on the stream. Mac, what do you think?
Lamb or Gallup? Well, so here's the thing. They're two different plays, in my opinion. Based on the last couple weeks, it really has been Michael Gallup being the volume guy. He's been getting the work, and yeah, he had a fantastic week last week. He won me a matchup in week 16. And I think CeeDee Lamb is a little bit more of a boom play because CeeDee Lamb is the one that's going to go downfield. He's going to be the one that can break a big play with his open field speed, and he's a fantastic route runner. Michael Gallup has been just hyper targeted by Andy Dalton the last couple weeks, and if it was me, I'd be playing Michael Gallup for the higher floor and the equal ceiling, whereas CeeDee Lamb just being a rookie, the recency bias is leaning towards Michael Gallup for the target count. I would just go Gallup over Lamb. That's kind of where I'm at with the two. I think both could be decent plays given the matchup, but I would go with Michael Gallup.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. And it is almost hard to do in the way that CeeDee Lamb is he's so exciting. And obviously, yeah, if he hits that 75-yard bomb for a touchdown, you'll feel it. But kind of a good general rule in fantasy is you got to play the volume play, because if he doesn't get that, then he's much more likely to be posting like a 2 or 3 point game when you need that 10 spot that I think Gallup, the floor feels much higher for Gallup. Not the sexy play, but you got to win that championship.
It's not the sexy play,
you got to be thinking.
Yeah, for sure. So, Patrick, thank you so much. Good luck this week. We are rooting for you. Hopefully, Michael Gallup comes through. And Bob Charlie, thank you so much for the 5, my man. We appreciate that. Pick 2 in a full PPR: Alexander Mattison, Jamison Crowder, Malcolm Brown, Rashard Higgins, Darius Slayton, or Gus Edwards. Wow. Okay. Bob, if you could give us a little bit of context, is it just the 1 week that you are playing? Is it a week 16-17 combo? Are you ahead, behind, or is it just straight up week 17 and you need some guys?
Yeah, well,
let's just break it down, Scotty. So running backs, Madison, Malcolm Brown, and Gus Edwards. Out of the 3, Gus Edwards is out for me. J.K. Dobbins, we expect to be a full participant this week. Big workload. The Ravens need to win this game to find themselves a spot in the playoffs. So I'm going to rule Gus Edwards out. He is touchdown dependent. I don't want to bank on that. Malcolm Brown and Alexander Mattison expect to get full workloads. If you reference our ranking, Scotty, I believe we probably have Madison ahead.
I will double check, but I do believe so. Hence the thumbnail.
Yes, double check that. Crowder, Higgins, Darius Slayton. I would play Crowder. The target volume for him when he has been healthy all year has been fantastic. Very, very involved. And Scotty is probably one of the biggest Jamison Crowder fans. I am
rolling out Jamison Crowder in a DFS week 17 play this week with confidence, because you saw it last week. I always say, if the guy's healthy and he's in the offense with Sam Darnold, you can't find a better volume play in the NFL. And like we just talked about with Michael Gallup, it's never a sexy play. I get laughed at repeatedly. Last week, he threw a touchdown.
That's right.
He threw a touchdown. Yeah. I'm out of the playoffs in that league.
Was it to Braxton Berrios? Is that who you connected with? I think it was.
Yeah, but he threw a touchdown, and his volume, he still caught a ton as well. He's got kind of that Roberts Woods feel to him, where they just, when he's healthy, with Darnold under center, he gets his volume and they get him involved in one way or another. So I'm not saying he'll throw another 60-yard strike, but I always am confident rolling out Jamison Crowder in my flex in all leagues I own him.
And for those reasons, we're going to go Crowder over Rashard Higgins or Darius Slayton. Slayton's more of a boom play, and you're relying on Daniel Jones there. Rashard Higgins is attractive, but the target volume for Jamison Crowder is going to be much higher. And I kind of see this Browns game plan to be very centered on the ground. It's going to be a steady dose of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And we saw the Browns went away from the run game last week. Baker threw for 53 times, and it just did not work out. We'll see Rashard Higgins be involved. We'll see Jarvis Landry be involved, as well as those tight ends. But dude, it's got to be Jamison Crowder just for that. Just like you said, that huge floor, the target volume. So let's roll out Alexander Mattison and Jamison Crowder. If you want to go with running back, wide receiver, if you want to go double running back, I think you're happy to go Mattison, Malcolm Brown. That's kind of where I lean here.
I mean, with the quarterback situation in LA, I think Malcolm Brown definitely picks up a lot of value as far as no Akers. Darrell Henderson, we all know I am a biased fan because I've kept him in a dynasty league, but I don't think he's done anything to separate himself much from Malcolm Brown, who started the season as the hot back, if you remember, to a lifetime ago, where it seems like 5 years ago, Malcolm Brown was the front runner and burning up waiver wires everywhere. So I think he could also be a sneaky pick if you want to go running back. But I agree with the Jamison Crowder, Madison's picks.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if there's any news on Cam Akers. Nothing yet. All right. So yeah, thank you so much for that 5. We really, really appreciate that. Hopefully you like the answer there, Bob. So good luck in your Week 17 championship. Trying to find where we were in the chat. We just did Drew's question of Madison or Elliot. Drew again. Is Marvin Jones a good pickup for this week? I would say yes. Depends on your other options, but Stafford getting the start definitely bodes well for Marvin Jones. Can he sustain that production, that on-field presence the whole game? Who knows? But good matchup against the Vikings. I think that's a good place to go. Lando's doing some.
He's definitely been sneaky consistent this season. Once again, not a sexy name, but if you've been riding him like consistently week in and week out, it kept being like this week he's going to drop off. Galladay should be back, like drop into the waiver wire. Galladay didn't come back. He had himself a game. So another guy I feel pretty confident rolling out.
Griffin said he needs 2 at the flex. Currently has Kittle and Gibson in there. He also has Johnson. I don't know if that's Deontay or David. TJ Hawkinson, Akers, Pollard, Marvin Jones. Has Diggs starting. Would you slot one of those into his spot? So I wouldn't start Diggs there. I would go with, if that's David Johnson, I would go David Johnson. If that's Deontay Johnson, I would fade that and probably look for your Marvin Jones or your TJ Hawkinson, whoever you think is going to be more involved there. I think they're equal in terms of target share. Cam Akers, we don't have any news on as of yet, and I would play Zeke over Pollard. So that's kind of where I lean, Griffin. If it's David Johnson, play him. If it's Deontay Johnson, I would fade.
Now, Mac, you stay right on the chat there so we don't lose it. But I feel like we got to give another shout out to our man Bob, who decided on his way out he wants to drop a hot $5 to thank the boys. 5 on the way in, 5 on the way out. You know this guy plays at a country club, and he knows how to deal with the back shop crew to make sure the clubs are waiting for him when he gets there, and that when he comes back, they'll be shiny and waiting there again. So, Bob,
definitely not.
Love the 5 in, 5 out.
Definitely not necessary, my man. The first 5 for the question is more than enough. But thank you. Shout out to you, my man. Let us know. Please let us know if you get this win. We definitely want to be cheering you on and sharing the news. So.
I envision almost a wall of championships, little graphic we might have to come up with once the Week 17 plays out. I want to hear every single championship win that the Snap crew here has, because I feel like a little bit of, I feel some pride every time I hear we've helped them get to a championship. To me, I think it's why we do it. So it's as the 5, the 10 is really appreciated, but we really want you to win that championship and add it to a little digital wall. Let us know for sure.
I do.
I know you can.
Some control over what you guys see here. Van the Man said, "What's up, boys? Had a good season. Finished first. Started K-Makers in the semis and lost. Thanks for your help and advice this season." Van, I'm sorry that you didn't get that win, but thank you for being a part of the community. We really look forward to having you for 2021 as well, and maybe we'll turn that regular season first into a trophy for you. Kurt Woods, Waller, or Gesicki today. If you look at the graphic here, you'll see Darren Waller is number 1 tight end on the week for us. You got to roll with your stud in Darren Waller.
Start your studs.
Sean, Warnell, Logan Thomas, or Jonnu Smith. It's Logan Thomas for us. TJ Eastman, need a wide receiver out of these. Jones, Jr., Gage, or Higgins. Need a running back out of Madison, Ty Johnson, or Boston Scott. Okay, so we would go with Marvin Jones Jr. as your wide receiver. We would go with Alexander Mattison as your running back. And, Lando. I know Lando likes the Seahawks D this week. Just given the John Walford start, I think the Browns could potentially have a good day against Mason Rudolph. So I would go Browns in that situation. Austin saying Waller all day. I believe that is definitely the case. Fantasy hockey is upon us. I've done like 30 mock drafts. Man, I used to love fantasy hockey until I fell in love with fantasy football. And then, like, fantasy football is great because you just have so much time to digest what's going on, what the context of the games is going to be, who's in, who's out. Like, fantasy hockey is a date. Like, you have to wake up and just be, active on those waivers. It's really like, how many waiver wire moves can you make and how many players can you start each week, and just
I agree with you, because it is a grind. It's a daily grind. The only leagues fantasy hockey leagues that I've enjoyed, and I'm in the process of, as I joined a new company a year ago, I've engaged in the interest online. Yes, it's my full-time gig. But I've engaged in the interest at the office all kind of Christmas break, because everyone's getting amped up about the January 13th puck drop. Work leagues for hockey are insanely fun. True. Because everyone's on their computer 8 hours a day anyway. So if it's a work league where you've got like 25 people from your company in it, I tell everyone the stories of when I was young, like very young, borderline intern at some companies, but I got 3 all-star goalies on my roster. I was getting called to the partner's office and getting these evals with these 60, 70-year-old owners of the company, and they'd just be there like, I notice you have 3 starting caliber goaltenders, and I lack any. So I think we can come to a negotiation of some nature. And I'll never forget staring at them like, you pleb, you don't even have 1 starter. Get out of here. You don't have anything I want.
I need a company car. I need my own expense card. I need a 15% raise.
Let's talk about a 100% raise, and maybe you get Holtby, but probably not. So to your point, I love fantasy hockey leagues. You just need to find an environment where you can spend like 30 minutes to an hour a day, on there.
It's ridiculous. It also matters if your work connection allows for Yahoo, because I know mine doesn't, but Sleeper, it does. So that's kind of nice. Fantasy behind the scenes. Matt S said, what 2 should I play? David Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Chris Carson, or Myles Gaskin? What a list, my man. What a list. So going by our rankings, you would roll out Myles Gaskin, Chris Carson. You'll see that they are literally back to back to back to back. So let's try to give a little bit more context here. Who has the upside and who has the floor? If this is just a pure upside play, I probably go David Johnson and Myles Gaskin. If you need to play catch up, if you need the big games, those are the 2 guys I go with. If you need the floors, I think you go Gaskin and Carson.
Yeah, it's really hard to move away from DJ after
weeks.
He's been looking like
2016
David Johnson, but it always feels like a trap when it's him, because then you're just worried he'll go back. But I mean, it's hard to move away. The play your studs in the finals mentality, it's there for a reason. If he looks like 2016 for one more game and he's on your bench, you're going to live with that all offseason. So
I agree. Yeah. Max, feel good about Madison. We feel somewhat good about Madison. Again, he's had the workload before, and it didn't materialize. He wasn't the week winning performance that we all thought we had in a handcuff or a waiver wire pickup Now, that could change this week given that it's week 17 and literally anything can happen. Does Matthew Stafford stay in the game for the whole 4 quarters? Does it go to Chase Daniels? How does that change the game script? There's so many variables here. But I do think that Mattison has a good game, whether he, pops off like the mini Dalvin Cook we all think he is. That's yet to be seen.
Yeah, I definitely think from a volume standpoint, you're safe. And that's kind of all you can ask for. But Landon and I have these debates a lot. I don't think you can expect Dalvin Cook numbers. I don't think you can just put him in that offense and say he is Dalvin Cook. He's still Alexander Mattison in a Vikings offense, but the volume should be there. So if he busts off one for a 30, 35 yarder, 40, you've got a pretty Dalvin Cook-ish day. But I'd say the odds of that happening are probably lower.
Roger said, "What's up, guys? Is that your rankings list?" Yes, it is, sir. That is our rankings for this week. We factored in all of the players that are out. And I know we haven't gone back to this, so let's just flip up all of the players that are out for week 17. Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Keenan Allen, Kenny Golladay, Cole Beasley, DJ Chark, Julio Jones, Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, KJ Hamler, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Deshaun Jackson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Dalvin Cook, Damian Harris, Frank Gore, James Robinson, Darrell Henderson, Carlos Hyde, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray, Christian McCaffrey, Mike Davis, Miles Sanders, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ben Roethlisberger, Jared Goff, Hunter Henry, Eric Ebron, Dallas Goedert, and Tyler Kroft. Those are your outs this week. And someone said it might have been a better idea to put an who's in graphic, and that's why we made this rankings list for you this week so that you could have an idea of who to start.
Because week 17 is the worst.
But we're here for you. So if your commissioner made a bad decision, we are here to help you out.
And quickly, 25 of you watching right now, we're at 23 likes. I think we can go higher. So if you're new to the stream, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button as we're looking to build this community. Huge for the 2021 season. We're hitting the ground running right at the end of this season. And just a reminder,